Hey citizens of Disneyland, Bricky here. Like many of you, I just heard the breaking news that Bob Chapek is stepping down from the Walt Disney Corporation and Bob Iger is taking over. I'm coming to you from my hotel room, just a block over from Disney's California Adventure. You might be able to see the Incredicoaster and Mickey's Fun Wheel behind me, projects that were overseen by Bob Iger. Now, this is an interesting proposition for Disney, and there's a lot of questions, and I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, many of these questions will kind of answer themselves. Did Bob Chapek really step down, or was he forced down? As we know, he was given the reins of the company under one of the worst times imaginable during 2020. We also know that before 2020, he was in charge of the Disney parks under Bob Iger, and during that moment, he spent more money than any parks president before. But I was always unclear, was that Chapek spending the money on the parks, or was he being a good soldier for Bob Iger's vision? Now, you may remember at D23, if you're a follower of this channel, I went off because I was waiting to finally see the vision of Bob Iger and Josh D'Amaro. Because at D23, the Iger playbook had finally played itself out. It was their turn to show everybody for the first time, especially through the Disney parks, where they saw this company going. That D23 was horrible, to put it kindly. There was no vision. Telling us all, what do you think's behind Big Thunder Mountain, isn't really telling us anything. A bunch of loose concept art. And it was during that panel when I was actually saying, this is the moment that I will start judging Chapek and D'Amaro, because it's now officially their reign. That was the moment when I started to jump on board with a lot of cynics and say, I don't think they have a vision. Or if they do have a vision, they're being so conservative or so fearful that they're not willing to share it. They're gonna give us a serving over what's gonna happen weeks and months to come. And that has been kind of true. They told us nothing about the tree house at the convention, which many people wanted to hear about, the Disneyland tree house. It's been up for construction now longer than it took them to build Disneyland. But then that news came out roughly through a blog post. And we've also seen new information about Tron as well as Toontown over these small leaks, but giving fans nothing at D23. That was the moment when I really started to wonder, what is their vision? On other sides of the company, we see lots and lots of spending on top of everything else that they're holding back on because of the Fox acquisition that was Iger's purchase, but the lots and lots of spending on Disney Plus. And yet we kept seeing the company, the stock going down till finally this last week, it went lower than it was at the beginning of the pandemic. The last time the stock had been that low was March 2020. So all of the gains over the last 2 years had come to an end. And it seems as this is when the patience of the company with Chapek had come to an end. Now, Chapek might be a scapegoat or a sad individual here. And hear me out for a second. He was trying to, I think, save and save and save and save to lower the debt, lower the debt, lower the debt, so eventually he could go back to spending. The only problem with this is the penny pinching, the cutting back, the reducing of experiences has limited the magic. It has made fans more and more upset. It has made people question the corporation more and more. So a question that we'll probably never ever know the answer to. Was Bob Chapek planning for a better tomorrow and simply ran out of time? And did the guy that put him there, Robert Iger, also replace him? It's interesting to see Bob Iger come back into the picture because he stepped away when times were bad. But at the end of 2022, all of our lives feel so familiar to where they once were. Good times are back, and so is Bobby Iges. It's a very, very interesting story, and I think the biggest thing I can take from it is this. Bob Chapek never found a way to resonate with the Disney fans. We'll never know exactly how much of this was his fault. We'll never exactly know the pinpoints of where he got it all wrong, but I can tell you this. This is a company, an entertainment company that is beloved by so many. And you cannot have a non-charismatic, personality-less person steering this ship. People fell in love with Walt Disney. A lot of people look back at some of the other leaders of the company with fond memories. Some people love Michael Eisner. Some people don't like him. But Eisner had a personality, and Iger had a personality. And Iger was willing to spend, because we all spend to enjoy this company, whether it's theme park tickets, hotels, food, cruises, DVC, streaming services, movie tickets, merchandise. This is a company that we put money into, and we love to see them spend money back on us. So maybe Chapek had a great vision and was cut short and never got there. Maybe he was the fall guy. But the one thing I can guarantee you, he wasn't the right guy for this job. I don't know that he's a bad guy. I don't necessarily feel sorry for him because he made over 20-something million last year. I Googled his house once just to kind of not feel so bad about giving him a potential hard time in some of my news videos, because he is a person and I'm sure his feelings are hurt. And from what I've heard from people, he loves the parks. He loves the magic. I just don't think he resonated with the community. And this is a community-based business. And if the community doesn't like you, you're only gonna go so far. Which is why Josh D'Amaro, I think, has gotten away with a lot of things over the last couple of years, because Chapek was always the fall guy, because Chapek was the unpopular guy. So I'm not gonna totally crap on the guy. I'm not gonna dance on his grave. I'm sure he's probably, as a human, really bummed out tonight. I just think the best lesson we can learn from all of this is a personalities-driven business. Personalities, people that we feel like are in charge of things, that we can trust things with, make us excited. And I think more of the predecessors that come in this company could learn a lot from the Chapek era, learn a lot from not resonating and communicating with the audience, and learn a lot about the scaling back, the cutting back. People don't like when they're spending lots of money to get less in return. It is not a favorable transition whatsoever. I think also Chapek made a lot of mistakes on speaking to the board of directors and investors as if the fans would never hear us. It's no longer 1954 when Walt's building Disneyland in a silent area where everybody isn't always there hearing every meeting and every discussion. We live in a moment right now where everything is traced, everything was recorded, and anything that you say about anyone is always going to get back to them. And Chapek did not speak about the guest in a way that was favorable. And I do believe that whether his plan was right and he ran out of time, we'll never know. But I do believe he got ran out of town because there is an enormous amount of customer dissatisfaction, and that has finally caught up with the stock, with the value of the company. And I'd always predicted a bad way to lead the company is keep cutting back and cutting back and cutting back, because eventually you will get to a point where you can cut back no longer. And I believe that moment is about around the corner with the hiring freeze, with the way they're going to stop spending, and with the unpopularity. I think people in the room started to read it as this. This is a leader who has made his mark on being conservative. But we're in a moment where we can't be conservative anymore because our stock, our faith that our customers have in us, and our overall morale as a company is sinking. So as the ship was sinking, they threw the captain off of it. Let's see how long Iger's around. Is he here for the long haul? Is he a temporary fix? Is he just going to kind of run it till they can find the next person? But let's hope that this is the first step and the magic's starting to feel like it did back in 2019, because I'm getting a little bit sick of going to the park and complaining. Disney is supposed to be an escape. It's supposed to be a magical place we all go to get away, not a reminder of how bad everything else is. And the experience, we'll say, has been lacking for a while. This is my first thoughts, my first reactions. A lot of this could change over the next couple of weeks as more news comes out, but I just wanted to tell you what I was thinking about this because I have been following this story for quite some time, and I'm not one to dance on somebody's grave. I do feel bad for Chapek, but I feel really good for the future of the company because whether he was a good guy or not, it kind of doesn't matter. He didn't resonate, he couldn't relate, he couldn't communicate, people didn't like him. And I think that shadow was starting to just be cast over every part of the operation. Leave your comments below. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. This conversation is to be continued, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. And I also cannot wait to go right over there and enjoy a little DCA and Disneyland. I hope you're having a great night, better than Chapek's, and we'll see where this goes. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you to my friends over at Club 1313 for making this channel possible. And I cannot wait to read what you got to say below. Good night. This is going to be some fun reading.